What is good, NIO family? It's Rey-Jay back with another video, and in this one I'm going to be talking about the one and only NIO stock and what's going on with the overall market. I'm also going to break down the whole situation with the debt ceiling right now that did cause the market to sell off at the end of the day. I'm going to break down what you should be watching for tomorrow and how it could affect NIO. I'm going to break down some important data and technicals involving NIO too. But before I break anything down about this, before I get into any more details, let me just mention a couple of things real quick. Firstly, I'm not a financial planner, so take none of this as financial advice whatsoever. And also, if you guys can, please smash the like button if you want to see more videos like this. It not only benefits me, it benefits the entire NIO community as a whole. And the last thing is, if you guys can, please check out the Webull link down below and in the description. If you sign up for Webull, the link down below, and deposit any amount of money into the account, you're guaranteed up to 12 free stocks, each worth up to $3,000. And the best part is, any could be a free Tesla share. The offer ends very soon, in just about 14 days, so check it out before they run out. With that out of the way, let's get on with the video. NIO is down 4.12% for the day. In my previous video, I told you guys I wasn't too sure how this would move depending on the news with the whole debt ceiling and things like that. I told you NIO might gap down and try to get a rebound as the day went on, but whether or not it continued to move would depend heavily on the overall market. And for now, I didn't really see a whole lot of news involving just NIO in itself, but we did see some tickers trying to hold up as the market continued to move. But the real question is, how is NIO going to move and why is NIO down the way it is? Well, part of why NIO is down is the market did technically have a sell-off. You could see consumer discretionaries were just looking relatively weak. And the EVs as a whole are starting to enter this phase where they're just slowing down. Now, this did affect NIO, and this did cause NIO to close below $8. But the question is, why did NIO sell off even harder near the end of the day? Well, the whole market basically followed in these footsteps, right? SPY has this wedge right here, this pennant that's just, it was holding for quite a while. And as of today, we did break below it, but we're trying to make our way back up in the after hours. Now, why is this significant? Well, why did the market sell off is the first thing we have to talk about. Basically, we had the meeting with Joe Biden and Kevin McCarthy, and it was very mixed in a way because some people on both sides, like Chuck Schumer and Mitch McConnell, are saying things that are more positive about the meeting, saying some progress has been made. Other people are saying that a deal can be closed over the next week or so. And then what the market didn't like, however, was a deal was not closed today. And Biden has to cut his trip to Asia short. He's going to be cutting the last two trips he was supposed to make over there, the last two places he was supposed to visit, cut those out, and he's going to be coming back to the US early from the G7 summit. Now, he's going to be focusing a lot on the debt ceiling talks, and he's going to come back earlier, which tells us that there's a lot of work to be done. Also, this goes against the very optimistic tone that Biden had from the beginning, saying that they're making so much progress. He's optimistic it'll get done with quickly. Could they, make a lot of progress this week? It's possible, right? But for now, it's going to take a while. This is going to go on for quite a while, and Biden will not be back for quite a while. We're getting very close to the deadline, so we have to be very careful here. And as we approach, the deadline, there could be more fear mongering that happens, more fear amongst lots of investors, and this will affect the entire market. Now, as far as NIO goes, some news came out that NIO and Shell opened their first EV swap station in Europe. This is once again great news, but this came out just about, I think, at the end of yesterday. And this is good news at the same time. They announced their initial partnerships to implement EV battery swap stations with Shell, and now they're continuing to build these in Europe, especially in the Netherlands. They're just continuing to open up. This will help them with their growth going forward and incentivize more people to buy these NIO cars. As far as earnings go, we have for tomorrow Target, Jack in the Box, and Wix. And don't forget, for Thursday, we have Alibaba, Ross, Walmart, and many others. These are going to be very important, so make sure you're ready. And with that said, let's now transition into the data for tomorrow. Tomorrow, we have some mortgage rate data, we have some building permits data, and then we have some gas stocks and oil data all coming out for tomorrow. This is going to be very important, so make sure you pay very close attention to this because the market is going to react to this around the morning time, so expect some volatility. NIO had about 33 million in volume, nothing too significant. And finally, looking at the short interest, we did see NIO short interest go up just a little bit to about 6 million shares short in just one day. And this in turn is holding higher values, which has contributed to NIO selling off. So now let's break down what's happening right here. Now, seeing that Tesla's a little bit red after the shareholder meeting, this is something worth noting. It could affect how NIO moves. And for now, we did see SPY break below this pennant, which could be a bearish signal. The MACD is open on the 1 hour time frame. On the 3 hour time frame, it's still not the 3 hour, the 30 minutes. Sorry, this time frame it's also quite open. It's going to make an attempt to try to get back in here, but as the debt ceiling news perpetuates, if we fail to get back into this like 412 area, we could continue to see more downside. We're likely going to see SPY make its way down to 409 and then finally the 408 area. 408.87 is going to be important, followed by 408 flat. We're likely going to see downside regardless. The market is trying to weaken a bit, and it's very important to be ready for this. Now, for the short term, the market might try to hold up, but as I mentioned in my previous videos, approaching June, there's likely downside to come from the market nonetheless. Now, for the QQQ, we have something else that's very important. The QQQ has been on a nice uptrend, continuing to pump over and over again. Many people are turning super, super bullish on the QQQ. And they could be right temporarily. Maybe the QQQ holds up for some time. Maybe it tries to pop even more. All right, that's fine. But I'm only seeing that for the short term as a possibility. In fact, I'm not too sure about how tomorrow is going to go. It depends on the debt ceiling. But the bottom line is, I'm more bearish as we approach June, get into June. I'm anticipating a big rug pull for the NASDAQ, the QQQ, consumer discretionaries, and many tech stocks out there. What held this thing up was Google. Google was pumping today. That's the main reason why the QQQ closed green. It would have turned red at the end of the day if it wasn't for Google. But look at this overall formation, a clear rising wedge. And then the worst part is when you zoom out all the way back to the April period, there's a clear triple, this is almost a quadruple bearish divergence that has developed in the 30-minute time frame. On the 1 hour time frame, we have the same thing, a triple or a quadruple negative divergence. So what do I mean by that? The MACD is downtrending. Look at the signal line with the MACD, regardless of any of the crossovers. Look at every single one of these peaks, and look at the RSI downtrending, right? This is showing us weakness for the QQQ. It's likely going to get a rug pull very, very soon. How soon? I don't know the exact date, of course, but I would anticipate over the next few weeks, it's likely going to see a lot of downside. For the short term, it could shop around and maybe try to push up a little bit more. It could try to chop around quite a bit first before the big rug pull comes. I'm just warning you guys, there's a lot of opportunity there. Now, what does that mean for the market? For Tesla, it's holding up okay. It had the shareholder meeting. Tesla announced more audits, and they did have a lot of shareholders vote on some of the big things going on. But for now, when you look at Tesla, okay, it's holding up all right. It's barely holding 164. It's likely going to continue to chop around. It's very, very choppy, not doing too much. And I did see a potential bullish divergence developing right here. So we could see Tesla make an attempt to bounce and retest 170. I don't know if it could actually break this because Tesla's very, very shorted right now. Shorts are just piling in. And then we have the debt ceiling fiasco still going on. So that could lead to some fears for the stock market. And that's the reason why, as long as this deal is not closed, as long as the debt ceiling looms, we may not see Tesla get a break to the upside that's very significant. It might just be a small break to like 170 off this bullish divergence. It might just hit 170, maybe go a little bit higher, but there's not too much upside I'm saying that's going to be significant. In fact, if the market does get the big rug pull, I know there's a rug pull coming. I just don't know the extent of it. If it's going to be massive or if it's going to be like somewhat pretty big, depending on that, it's going to likely lead to downside for Tesla approaching June. So I am anticipating downside still. It's starting to look very distributive. And we're likely going to see Tesla make its way back to the 150s. And if 152 does not hold, it's going to go down to the 140 gap fill. Okay? When? June to July, it's very, very possible. But once again, I'm not going to talk about the gap fill or anything like that just yet. I'm just saying it's a possibility. I do believe it's going to hit the 150s, though. It likely will retest 160 in the 150s by the June period if the debt ceiling continues to bring in more fear for the market. Okay? And it's very likely that the market is just going to continue to remain very choppy, if not see more downside moving forward, and that will affect Tesla. Finally, for NIO, I'm going to end the video with NIO. Let me just note that the dollar is green. It's holding up quite nicely. If it keeps that up, that's going to be bearish for the markets. The VIX has a bullish divergence. It's starting to play out. These are more and more bearish signals. For NIO, it's been downtrending and starting to curl right here, looking more distributive, and it closed below $8, which is not a good sign. Overall, there's not much of a divergence on the 1 hour time frame, and NIO has a wide open MACD, which is still not showing signs of a true bounce. If the market, tries to bounce tomorrow just temporarily in the morning, we might see NIO make its way back above 8 or just temporarily. But as long as it does not break above $8, if it fails to hold it quite nicely, it could easily break below the 7.9 support. NIO's support for the day, it hit 7.8. It also hit 7.88, very close to 7.9. If it fails to hold that, expect NIO to get a rug pull down and approach 7.5 as the days go on. Now, NIO has a tendency of being very attracted to the $8 area. So we could see NIO just chop around this $8 area for some time before another rug pull, but it's going to depend on the debt ceiling, and I still believe the odds are favoring downside for the stock. So I'm seeing it trying to rebound in the morning, get its way back up to the 8, and then get another rug pull down to 7.9, and then break even lower potentially, depending on how we move. But that's what I'm seeing. Excuse me. Sorry, guys. That's what I'm seeing for tomorrow. That's what I'm predicting. So please be open-minded. And let me just note two more things. I have some merch for you guys if you're interested in buying anything. If you want a tank top, a hoodie, a t-shirt that says "To the Moon," eat, sleep, trade, repeat, or anything like that, please check out my shop, which is near the comment section. I also want to add that I have a Webull link down below in the description for you guys. If you deposit any amount of money, whether it's $1 or $100, you're guaranteed up to 12 free stocks. All right, guys, so thank you all for listening. The market to the moon, as the long term is still incredibly bright. NIO to the moon as well. And peace out.